guys, welcome back to another Soccer Life to Bros video, and in this video we are going to be predicting the Premier League for the 23 to 24 season. So let's get right into it. But before we do that, I really want to thank you guys on 500 subscribers on YouTube. It's such a big achievement for me, and I'm so happy, and yeah, I just can't believe it. Anyways, we're going to start off with 20th place, and we're going to go with Sheffield United. And I know they just got promoted to the Premier League, but I think it'll be hard for them this season, just because I don't know that much about like the lower teams in the Premier League and in the Championship, so I'm going to try my best. But we're just starting off with Sheffield United in 20th place. And then the next team that gets relegated, and I'm so sorry for saying this, but Luton Town, I really want you guys to stay up, and I hope you do after the long run for the past 10 to 12 years to get all the way to the top. So I hope they stay, but I just don't really see it happening. I'm really sorry, but I hope they do well. I hope they do really well. And next we have Everton. And Everton have been staying at the Premier League for quite a while, actually. They've always been just hanging out at the last second. But this year, I think they're finally going to get relegated. It's not going to be a very good season for Everton, so I'm sorry to any Everton fans. But yeah. So moving on to the teams that will be staying in, we have Bournemouth, who are going to be in 17th place on the verge of relegation. And I think they have some very good players like Philip Billing, who I think will continue to do well this season. And they did a great job coming in to the Premier League straight from the Championship to stay in. So I think they can stay in again. So, yeah, moving on to 16th place, we have Nottingham Forest, who actually have a pretty good team. They last season made a lot of big upsets to big teams like Arsenal. Arsenal on one of the last days of the season winning Manchester City the title. And at the beginning of last season, it was hard for them to work together, but they started to get a rhythm, and they have some really good players, actually. Gibbs White, Brennan Johnson, who's a very good player, Renan Lodi, and a lot of good other players that did well for them, and I'm sure will do well for them this season as well. Next, in 15th, we have newly promoted Burnley, who are actually managed by the former Manchester City player, not Pep Guardiola, Vincent Kompany, who's a wonderful coach. And I think coming into the Premier League, they could be a big threat, and they're going to do really well, getting 15th for their first season. And I think they can continue to progress up and up throughout the years if they stay up. So I think it's going to be a pretty good season for them, actually. And next we have Wolves in 14th place, who have lost a lot of the good players, like Raul Jimenez, who moved to Fulham, and Ruben Neves, the Portuguese man, that went to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. So it would be really hard for them to do well this season, I think. But they still might be, I think they'll still be mid-table as they usually are. But I've seen a lot of people thinking that they're going to get relegated, and that actually might be true, but I think that they're going to stay at 14th and have, I guess, a decent season with a few wins and losses here and there. And next we have Fulham, who this is their, I think, third or second year in the Premier League after coming up from the Championship. And they looked pretty decent last season, but now this season, Willian, he recently renewed his contract, but doesn't seem like he wants to stay. Mitrovic definitely doesn't want to stay. But their backup is Raul Jimenez, but he hasn't been that good for Wolves last season. He hasn't really been playing much. So I think it could be a hard season for them, but I think they'll do pretty well, getting 13th place. And then right after them in 12th, we have West Ham, who lost basically their best player, Declan Rice, for £105 million, which is absolutely wild. But they still have many good players like Lucas Paqueta and Jared Bowen, who will do really well. And since they won the Conference League last season, it will be a really good boost for them to do well in this Premier League. So I think it's going to be good for them this season, getting like about mid-table, but it would be really hard without Declan Rice. But we'll see how they do. And next, we have Crystal Palace, who also lost basically their best player, Wilfred Zaha, to Galatasaray, which I think was a decent move for him. But I don't think we need to worry too much about the attack because Eze and Elise, I think, are going to do so well in the Premier League this season because last season they already showcased how good they are. And I think this season they can do even better. But I think they'll continue to stay about like a mid-table team. They won't get relegated, and yeah, I think it's going to be a decent season for them. And next we have Brentford, who one of their best players is out for half of the season, Ivan Toney, who it might be hard for them in the attack for the first half of the season, but I think they can still do well because they have other really good players like Mbueno and Da Silva. So I think it's going to be a similar run for them as last season. They got like I think 8th or 9th last season. So I think they're still going to do pretty well this season. So I'm going 10th. And right under them, Brighton, who are 9th. And they also lost their best player, Alexis McAllister. But they still have a really good team like Caicedo, who might be leaving soon. Such a good player he is. And they have Solly March and who's Pascal Gross, who are really good. And Enciso, I'm not sure if he's made a transfer this season, but he's a really good player, scoring bangers here and there last season. Oh my God, what a player. So 9th, I think, would be a pretty good spot for them. And next, we have Spurs, who are going to be 8th, not getting any European football whatsoever. I just don't see them doing well when Harry Kane leaves to Bayern Munich. I think so. That'll probably happen, I feel. And then Son will be, he's not really been that good last season, but I think he'll regain his form because he's an amazing player with no weak foot. And I just feel like it's going to be hard for them this season. Like, their team isn't very good. They've been switching between different managers. I have no idea who they have right now. But, yeah, we'll have to see how they do. But I don't think they're going to do that well this season. The past few seasons, they've been finishing like 7th or 8th. So, thoughts. Do you guys think they're still a top 6 club? Tell me down below in the comments. Do you guys think they're a top 6 club? And now we have Aston Villa, who have made so many good signings this season, getting, I think they'll get 7th place, like Diaby, Pau Torres, who's an amazing center back who used to play for Villarreal. So he's a really good player. And I think they're going to do really well this season as they did last season. I think they got European football last season, right? Didn't they get 7th place? I'm pretty sure they did. So I think this will be a similar season for them with many great signings, which will really help them. Next up, we have Chelsea in 6th. And you guys will be saying, how are they going to be in 6th? They literally just got 12th last season. But I think it would just like a transition season for them because they signed so many good players and the players didn't have enough time, and it was all like a big disaster last season. But I think they're gonna like slowly get better and better as they just signed Christopher Nkunku, but I'm not sure about him because he just picked up an injury, and they've been selling a lot of their players this season. Like I think Aubameyang's left. I'm not too sure about that. But Kovacic to Man City, Mason Mount to United, just to name a few. So I think they're not going to do horrible this season, but they're still going to get European football. So, yeah, I'm saying 6th place. And next up, we have Newcastle, who did so well last season getting 4th. But I think they're just going to miss out on the top 4 getting 5th. They signed Sandro Tonali for $70 million from AC Milan. And I think they're going to continue to impress the whole Premier League. And they're going to do really well this season, I think. And, yeah, European football, as I said. And next, we have Manchester United in 4th place, just getting in the Champions League spot. A lot of people have been doubting them as they've just lost their goalkeeper for so many years, David De Gea, who has been vital for them. But Andre Onana is a very good player playing for AC Milan, who had an incredible season last year. So I think he'll do pretty well. And Mason Mount, hopefully he fits into the team really well. But I think players like Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford are really regaining their form this season. So yeah, I think it'll be great for them. But before we go to the top 3, I have a special announcement to make. So today I want to give a big shout out to the Bros channel, who has an amazing channel for different sports videos and amazing soccer videos made by my friends Virgil and Sebastian. They were actually in one of my videos, the Header Lightning video. So I really recommend this channel. So can you please go down and subscribe to them, and the link will be in the description. So hope you enjoy their channel. Alright, back to the video. So the top 3 of the Premier League for this season, I'm going 3rd place, Liverpool. And Liverpool have made really good signings, rebuilding their whole midfield this season, signing Dominic Szoboszlai from Leipzig, who I think would be really good, and Alexis McAllister, bringing the attacking vibe to the Liverpool midfield. And even Trent actually could be moving up to midfield. I wonder how that'll work, but I'm not too sure about that. So I think they've made brilliant signings, but they've let a lot of their players go, like Milner to Brighton, Naby Keita to Werder Bremen. I think that's how you pronounce their name. Fabinho, who's a class CDM. So letting him go to Saudi Arabia was pretty big for them. And a couple more players. So I think they'll have a pretty good season getting 3rd, but I think they'll be one of the big contenders in getting the Premier League title. And for our top 2, I've gone for 2nd place, Arsenal. And it'll be the same top 2 as last year, because you can't really beat Man City, man. I mean, even though Arsenal, they've made so many good signings, like Declan Rice, who I mentioned earlier, Kai Havertz for 60 million. I'm not too sure about that. But I think it would be really good for them this season. So 2nd place would be good, but I think if they keep on building up, they could eventually win the Premier League. But you can't take it away from Manchester City, who are my Premier League winners for the 4th time in a row. You can't beat these guys. Haaland, Bernardo Silva, even though they lost Gundogan, they brought in Joško Gvardiol, who's an amazing center back from Leipzig, and from Chelsea, Mateo Kovacic, who I think will be a pretty good replacement for Gundogan, but you can't really replace Gundogan. He's such a good player, but I think moving to Barcelona was pretty good for him, as it was his dream club. And of course, their defense is going to be stacked. Gvardiol, as I said, Ruben Diaz, Cancelo coming back. I'm not sure how that'll play out. Akanji, Ake, who are so good. And even Walker, who might be leaving this season, actually. And of course, De Bruyne, the best midfielder in the world right now, is going to be really doing well in that midfield, as he always does. So that concludes our video. Your Premier League champions for the 23-24 season are Manchester City. So I hope you loved that video. Be sure to subscribe to Soccer Life to Bros, and I'll see you next time. And the link for the Bros channel will be in the description. Bye.